working with youth. I've been doing it for last 15 to 18 years. And one thing which I saw, which would work, is give youngsters the freedom to do but what you want to do. That is the formula which works. So we have coined this line. What is this noise? Now okay? Yeah. So we call it a formula. Make them do what you want, the way in which they like doing it. This is the formula. Make them do what you want, but the way in which they like doing it. Like, for example, when I was in Yuva Kendra, Swamiji made us do. He made us talk on Tulasi Ramayan and on Sthita Prajna Lakshana. Can you ever catch youngsters in a metro city to speak on Tulasi Ramayan and on Sthita Prajna Lakshana of the Bhagavad Gita? We were interested in speaking, public speaking. So it was something which, when you learn the art of speaking, was fine. But how he channelized that was the content became Vedanta. Even today, that impact of that talk which we practiced and we delivered, the verses which we spoke, we feel we authored it, not Krishna. So even today when people say, they will refer us saying that was his verse. He spoke this verse that day. So Vedantic content, you like public speaking, but the content became Vedanta. So make people do what you want, but the way in which they like doing it. So this works very well. If we tell youngsters, let us learn all about Surya, the sun, how many of them would come forward? There is Surya Upanishad. Let us learn Aditya Hridayam. Let us learn Gayatri Mantra. Not many people would be inspired. But if you take the same content and say, let's do in the form of a theatre. Let's make a sound and light show on this topic. Then naturally, with little instruction from your side, I know the youngsters sat together, did research, referred books like Surya Upanishad, referred different things connected with Surya in Hindu civilization and outside, rest of the world, and made a theatre presentation. And this was called Surya 108. Now this is a beautiful way of learning. Not only they have learnt about Surya in the way in which they like learning, and inspired many people. And in India, we have done the show, Surya 108, a sound and light show, 28 times. And once we create the first one, we handed it over to different people, different centers. So if they want to build a new team, they take this, they bring up the cast, train them, they are also inspired, and it comes up. So theatre, trips, motorcycling, you name the method we have adopted. But all connected to Vedanta. I have done the highest road on earth by motorcycle. But from there, another 500 kilometers you drive from Himalayas, you go to Amarnath. So the highest road is Kardungla Pass, and then you go to Amarnath. And then the ending part would be Siddhabari. Now it's a beautiful pilgrimage. And there's so much learning is there in motorcycle. But the freedom was, okay, you learn Vedanta through motorcycle, fine. So this is what works with youth. So you people want to inspire more youngsters, keep this in mind. Make them do what you want, the way in which they like doing it. This worked. And this we have learned from Gurudev himself. He made us learn Kamba Ramayana, which would, otherwise no one would go and learn Ramayana. He made us learn Ramayana through sound and light show. So that way it is a very, very different kind of approach we need to keep. So we have made a book with the Yuva Veers of 5th batch, a novel called Drop. So that's the topic which we're going to speak today, Drop. It's a novel. Shabana was very much part of this book. And another girl, Anjali, she is from Barcelona. And Geeta Keswani from Philippines. And Charmi Shah from Chennai. Through Skype, this book came up. From different corners, they were talking to each other, and whenever possible, fix me also in Skype, sit there, discuss the points out, and they did this. It's a very brilliant book for the youth. This one is just a novel. How this came up is, we listed down a number of questions youngsters have, kind of questions they have in mind. And we said, okay, write down all possible questions. When you go to a university, when you go to a school, junior college, what kind of questions youngsters would have? Because Yuva Veers are trained in the youth empowerment program to go and talk to university students. So they may throw different questions and you need to prepare yourself for it. So we listed down some 600, 700 questions which youngsters would have in mind. But then you bring out a book in a question answer form, not many people will read. You won't read it. It's on a question answer form, like a question and answer, they will not like. So these youngsters came up saying, Swamiji, we'll make a novel. But all these questions would be answered. So that way a novel was made. And this novel is a very nice story. A group of people meet into various circumstances. They all meet in a place called Ganga Sagar. Ganga Sagar is where river Ganga meets the ocean. So they met there. And from there, one person takes the initiative to walk the route of Ganga. So they walk the route from Ganga Sagar to Kolkata. There they go and meet, they see Belur Math. Come in. Yeah, come, sit down. They go meet different people in Belur Math. Belur Math, for some of you who do not know, is Ramakrishna Mission. And from there they walk further. They go to a place called Triveni Sangam, and then to Kashi, Chitrakoot, different places. That's the route of the river Ganga. And then to Haridwar, Rishikesh. In Rishikesh, they get to know about Gurudev, because Swamiji studied there. And further, they go up to Uttarakasi, where they get to know about Swami Tapon Maharaj. And the yatra goes further to Gangotri, and from there to Gomukh. And from Gomukh, you walk further 6 kilometers, you go to a place called Tapovan. For some of you who may not know about this place, it's a peak in the Himalayas beyond Gomukh. Gomukh itself is a glacier. So from Gangotri, the road ends and you have to walk 18 kilometers to go to Gomukh. and from there 6 kilometers to go to Tapovan, and that peak is named after Tapovan Maharaj. The British who was ruling India at that time, they named it. They wanted some Puranic references of all the Himalayas, the mountains. And Swamiji was a person who traveled the Himalayas more, Swami Tapovan Maharaj. So he knew the topography of the mountains and also the original names from the Puranas. So they wanted someone who had the knowledge of the mountains and also well versed in Puranas. So he connected, saying, this is what this mountain is. This mountain is called Pushpavalli. This mountain is called Bhagirath. That peak is called, that way he named, he showed them. They said, we honor you by naming that small peak called Tapovan. So this yatra, these youngsters go. And it is very interesting, as they keep walking from Ganga Sagar, few people keep dropping off. Not all go there. Few people keep dropping off, and finally there will be two persons, the teacher and the student, and the teacher also stops and saying, I have been there, now this journey you need to make all by yourself, and the seeker walks further. So it's just the journey that he walks up to Tapovan and naturally understands what we wanted to tell. So that's the novel. But in and through this novel, all possible questions which we reflected, which people would have, were covered. Now, so instead of making people tell, you have to drop this, you have to drop that, that becomes preachy. With youth, this is something which you always have to keep in mind. You should not preach. You can suggest in any tone you like. In any tone, but it should not sound preachy. So this book is a book where people learn through that story different things one should know to drop, like how you drop different things. And naturally, as we did the book with the novel, we wanted exercise book attached, how to drop. Because we did not want to get that into the storyline, then it gets too preachy again. So we created a second book called Drop, It's Easy. First, what is to be dropped? And the second book, Drop, It's Easy. Not very difficult. So that way it is a set of books. One is the first one is the novel. Second one, Drop, It's Easy. And something very nice would be what they have learned. Let us say, for example, in one of the chapters, there is a postcard. So they are traveling, so they drop a letter somewhere or other. So there is a postcard. So here it is, drop assumptions. First to drop they talk about is how important it is for us to drop assumptions. Most of us live in assumptions. We hardly clarify. So in the first chapter, the storyline would be such that, and you learn how to drop assumptions. And there is a question for you to think. Are you a thinker or a follower? That's the postcard. So this side of the postcard is, are you a thinker or a follower? And here you would be like, to that seeker, the postcard is sent from Ganga Sagar, West Bengal. So the first one is drop assumptions. So how do I drop assumptions? In this book, in the workbook, the first chapter talks about dropping assumptions. So we'll take up the first one today. And it's not difficult, it is easy. Drop, it's easy.